Hey, Michael Scott Overall here. I've always enjoyed the creation account in Ovid's Metamorphoses, and I was privileged to have an entire class on Ovid in grad school. What intrigued me most is Ovid's description of the raw materials Prometheus is working with when he forms humanity. It possesses a part that is seeded from the divine that gives humans a face-up perspective. Thus, humans differ from animals whose face-down aspect compels them to look at the ground. One notable painting is Griepenkerl's Prometheus and Athena, also called The Creation of Man, where you can see Athena giving soul to the human form created by Prometheus. The face is looking upward, and the light of the divine is shining on him. This idea is consistent throughout Ovid. Humans occupy some space between gods and beasts. Couple this positioning of humanity with the fact that the collection of stories is called Metamorphoses, the Greek plural word for the Latin transformatio. The entire book is a story of transformations, some from a lower to higher transformation, some from a higher to a lower transformation. But there's a lesson obvious in every tale. Personal growth stories often use the word transformation to signify the depth of one's internal change. Life, through a series of hard-won victories, changed from one level of living to another. Thus, the phrases we've adopted that speak of us becoming our best selves or becoming the best version of ourselves. We speak of transformation. Lyndsey Austin is the CEO of Lyndsey Austin Transformations. Note the use of the plural there, like Ovid's, who has told the story of her multiple transformations in her book, Flight of a Butterfly. It's a story of Herculean grit and resilience that includes physical transformation through exercise, mental transformation through her commitment to learning, and spiritual transformation through mindfulness practices. Anabasis is the ancient Greek word for the inward journey or the ascent, and today I'm journeying into the coaching world with transformational coach Lyndsey Austin. I hope you enjoy.
You know, people look at me and they say, I do fitness dance classes as well. Like, oh my God, your energy. This was not me years ago. And they're like, really? So I speak it because I've done the work. I'm coming from a place of, I know because I've done it, rather than I've just read it out of a textbook, because I think anyone can learn anything. But if you've lived something and experienced it, you can share. So my name's Lyndsey Austin. My business is Lyndsey Austin Transformations. So when I started my business 5 years ago, so if I go back before that, I've been in the fitness industry 18 years. And that healed me. It healed me, brought me more confident in my life. I also studied psychology and sociology at the time I was doing fitness as well. So it was going more into knowing about the humans, how we think, what we think can do what we do. And coming from my past story of lots of trauma, violence, when I broke away from it at the age of 25, we can dive deep into that in a bit. But basically, so what I wanted to do was make people feel the way I do now. I studied my NLP, put my business together, which is Lyndsey Austin Transformations, which how I work is I pull the person back to the caterpillar. It's like cocooning yourself and literally open up, peeling back the layers, going back to their limiting beliefs, going within to shine out, to transform. And that's the stages that I do with my clients. I look at people as an individual. I never think, oh, yes, I've got a niche client, because niching down is not making somebody bespoke for me, for them. There's 8 billion people in the world. I do not believe that one of us is the same. So that's what I do. That's why I have the program set for the person individual. And I do it from a place of love as always, because what I see in people, I've already seen in myself before. Yeah. So, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and well, so I'm a language nerd, and one of the things I notice is that you have the plural transformations. And so is that kind of tapping into that, you seeing every person as an individual situation, individual story, individual case, you meet them where they are? Is that what you mean by that?
Yes, because I believe, like I said, all of us are not the same. It's meeting the person themselves, to where they want to go, and just working with them along with it. So no pressure, just helping them, seeing what I see in them to bring it out of them, if that makes sense. It's diving deep within, whether it be self-worth, whether it be, there's so many things, past traumas, adversity. We all experience things. We've all experienced adversity, traumas, but we all experience it on a different level. But trauma's trauma and adversity is adversity. That's what I truly believe. And it's how we want to get. The same I always say to my clients, we all experience pain. Everyone experiences pain in their lives. There's no one that doesn't. Pain is not a choice, but suffering is a choice. So how long do you want to still suffer in this, what you're dealing with in your life? You have a choice. So let me help you stop suffering anymore.
That's beautiful. What is, I think this is a good place to ask you, what is your coaching philosophy? And I'm guessing, based on what I've seen on your website and also just what I've heard you explain, is that the metaphor of a butterfly is massive to the thought process and your system of thought. Will you flesh that out for us?
Yeah, it's thinking beyond, outside the box, believing in yourself. Self-belief is massive. Not comparing yourself to others, believing you have it wholly and complete inside yourself already. It just needs to come out. And that comes out with self-worth, self-love, valuing yourself is massive, and believing in yourself and having that somebody to shine the torch on you to let you know you are beautiful, you are the best you can ever be, and helping you be that best version of yourself every single day. Because we only have now. The past is gone. The future we don't know, but we only have now. That's what I teach.
So when I hear you say that, you're talking specifically about the spiritual practice of mindfulness?
Yes, mindfulness. I do think, it depends on the individual client. Some like to journal, some like to do affirmations, some just want to listen. You listen to things. It depends. We're all different, Some of us would rather read it, listen to things. It's the individual client, but it is all about finding what's specific for them in their situation. And I always say, surround yourself. It's who you surround yourself with, the 5 people you surround yourself with as well. And just being, not locking yourself away. Like you said, your friend says she's not a people person. You've got to be speaking to people, because that's where we learn and we grow. We learn from each other. We can't do things alone. We can't. I'm a truly believer is we cannot do things alone.
What about the people who've spoken to you? I mean, you've alluded in our conversation that something major happened around the age of 25, I believe is what you said.
Yeah.
That might have been when you started your business, but who were some, or maybe not who in the specific names of the people that were speaking into your life, but who were the people who helped you transform your own pain into something beautiful like your coaching business today?
Yeah. It was when I was 25, when I went to college and studied sociology. The lecturers there the whole, how they were, they're just so caring and so thoughtful and helpful and inspiring. And that's where I started my fitness journey as well. It all goes together. And it's just the support that I got. And I had no confidence. And they'd say to me, you are lovely, you're beautiful, what are you not seeing? So the more you hear that, the more you believe. Because when it's being put into our mind, we're going to believe it. But if you're being told every day, you're not lovely, you're ugly, you're this, you start believing it. And again, it all goes down back to your childhood, because that's, again, your childhood self is your adult self now. So when I work with my clients, I go back to that. literally your 7-year-old self. So I said, how did you start? You know, what was your family life like? You know, what was your life with your siblings? What trauma did you experience? And again, it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be something about you. It could be something that your mum did or your dad did or your sister or your brother did that's affected you, that you're holding, or even something that your teacher could have said to you at school. Because I experienced all of those things that made me have no confidence, being bullied at school, you know, my father with his violent abuse, with my mum with us, it had that effect. So I had no self-love from day one, basically, what I remember. My first ever experience, I've spoke about before, which is in my book, when my dad stabbed my mum in her face with a fork at Christmas Day. And there was a lot of that. So that just sticks. And then when you start, if you're not going within, but from a young age, you have that ripple effect as to attract people like that. So I attracted, my partner was the same as my dad, so was violent and just that way as well. So it wasn't until I started doing the work on myself and taking a look and say, this is not what I want. This is not the life I want for myself or children. I went for drug abuse, taking crack, heroin, prostituted myself at 15. Well, not myself, he did, because I know I was okay with it because I thought that was love. But if you're not shown any different and no one's telling you you're worth it and you are more, you believe that. You just think that's the way of the world, that's how it's supposed to be. I mean, you know, you read things of kids that have been abused and then they go on to being abused because that's what they think it is, life is, but it's not. And it's breaking that chain of in our families with our children, our next generation, to change that and know that's not right. So, yeah. It can get really deep, you know, in any individual, there's something that's made them that way, why they are the way now. You know, people look at me and they say, I do fitness dance classes as well, like, oh my God, your energy, like, this was not me years ago. And they're like, really? So I speak it because I've done the work. I'm coming from a place of, I know because I've done it, rather than I've just read it out of a textbook, because I think anyone can learn anything, but if you've lived something and experienced it, you can share. And I will say this, my massive thing, I want to inspire the world, impact the world. I've said it since a kid. That's what I want to do. And remember sitting down in a car park, I speak about this in my book, and drawing the home I wanted. It's like the law of attraction in chalk. And I'm sitting there saying, I'm thinking to myself, I don't want this for me. When I get older, I'm not going to have this. But I had to live it and experience it, to teach it, to know that you can do it. Anybody can do anything that they want in this world. You just got to believe and put into action and have the support to do it.
So I think this is a good transition to the next question about values. What are the values that inform your coaching? And, you know, I said, you know, maybe the top 3, because I don't want it to be too open-ended, but if you were to identify 3, what are they? Why would you name them?
Yeah. One, massively, you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to love yourself and love others around you. Massive values. And just give love. I would say love always wins. We all experience fear, but it's always false evidence appearing real. As soon as the fear comes into me, that I just think this is not real. It's just false. You've got to believe, believe, believe. And when you have to keep saying that to yourself as a mantra, constantly to yourself, and just not to yourself, to your friends, to your family, it lifts people's spirits. When you're given that energy, I believe in you. People say, what? Well, I do believe in you. Why wouldn't I believe in you? If I can see you're coming from a place of being authentic to yourself and you want to learn and you want to grow, I believe in you. And values with your family as well, massive again. And this is why I really value my family, and I think people should value their family and friends. Well, no, not think, is because when you have the knowledge to take that step back and show self-love, self-belief, and show that you can be the best you have that ripple effect on your family. So whatever traumas or adversities I've gone through or my parents have gone through, it's the forgiveness of that and breaking the whole chain of it. And it's doing the work. It is doing the inner work on yourself and knowing, don't compare yourself to people. Always believe in yourself and love others around you. Big values for me, massive.
So a couple of things that I have to respond to that. You have Platonic philosophy supporting you, whether you're looking for it or not. But the ancient idea of self-care is you take care of yourself so that you can take care of other people. And that idea of care really is an educational and a political idea of cultivating and training yourself so that you can participate in public life. Yeah.
I do I do check-ins all day with myself every day, Michael. I check in with myself probably about 6 times a day. And I always say to my clients do this, like, how are you feeling right now? And be true to yourself, whether you want to jot it down or just let it thought. And if you're thinking, I'm feeling a bit not so good, why am I feeling this way? We live in a world where things happen every day. Okay, what can I do now in this moment to change that? It might be putting on some heavy rock music. It might be listening to a podcast. It might be just doing a dance, jumping around. Breathe. Your whole mindset and your energy shifts. The situation is going to be the same. It's how you deal with it. You can't change a situation outer world. You can change how you're feeling in about the situation. Yeah. Truly, it's just checking in with yourself constantly.
Talk to me about your musical interests. Well, you said heavy rock and roll. What are some of the ones you love?
Yeah, I love R&B. I'm just saying that, but I absolutely love Coldplay. Do you know my tune at the minute? So I teach fitness as well, still as my coach, and so I do spin classes, dance classes, ballet classes, weight classes. But there's a track from Coldplay at the minute, Higher Power. You've got higher power. I absolutely love it. Do you know the one I mean? And that's about energy. So higher power. I'm forever blasting that out at the minute. That's my tune at the minute. Also Beyonce, You Can't Break My Soul. That's energy. Anything that's energy, that's mentioned energy or high vibration.
Lovely. That's awesome. I'm getting the impression that you are a very busy person.
Yeah, I've got 5 grandchildren as well. Yeah. Busy, but they're so beautiful and loving and doing so well, which is good. So yeah, I am busy.
But what a great example. I'm thinking, my grandmother is a great example of someone who works really hard. She's 94. She still works. She's very active. But what I see is that you're giving them an incredible example of what life can be like long term.
Yeah. Massive. It's always about being in the now. I always say to the kids, we all worry, but what is it going to change? Have that little minute, but bring yourself back to now. And a problem halved is a problem. You get on the phone to a friend and share it. Someone that can see it from a different perspective as well to you. Because a lot of us, I say to my kids and they laugh, I say it to my clients, it's like, in your head you're dead, in your heart you're smart. I have these little things that I say. Your head you're dead, in your heart you're smart. Because it's true, isn't it? Get out your heads. And they'll say, what do you mean get out of your head? I said, do something that's going to make that thought go away. Change your thoughts. Tony Robbins always talks about it. Change your state. It's just changing the way, how you think about things or what you feel about the things. Yeah, it's massive. Your vibes, your tribe. I've got so many years ago when I was literally trying to get myself out there, thinking, how can I change? I was stuck in the same, I don't know, hamster wheel or going down the same rabbit hole of doing the same thing when I was just doing my fitness classes and going from club to club and speaking to people in the class at the time, but then leaving. So I didn't have many friends. So I made it my thing. I am going to start socializing more. So I say this to my clients, ring that friend, text them, let's catch up. It's getting out there and we learn, like I said, we learn from each other, but keep a beautiful circle around you. also massively important. No energy drainers. You know, we don't want that. You got to do the work. And again, you know, we support each other on that, but we're not for everybody. I'm not for everybody. You're not. We find our tribe. Yeah. But it's got to be about us and who we surround ourselves with.
Yeah, I keep hearing you say things that that really are identifying our limitations and working within those limitations.
Yeah.
How are we on time? Because I have 4 questions I still want to ask you, but I see that we're at the 9:30 mark, and I want to be mindful of your time.
I'm fine let's carry on. Yeah.
You're good? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Congratulations on your book, 2020. Tell me the name of it and what it's about.
Right. Well, it's called Flight of a Butterfly. So it's my story. So when people read it, they're like, oh my gosh, how have you been able to even share that? If you'd have asked me this 10 years ago, not a chance. But for me, I want to inspire and impact the world through my story to let them believe it's male, female, don't matter who you are. It's not written for anyone specific. It's the whole world to love themselves more and to know that they can grow through what they go through. So how I wrote it, so I wrote my story of all of it from trauma to adversity, and I did every chapter I've done it. It's what would my adult self tell my younger self now I've done the work. So the avatar reader that's reading it will be like, wow, I've been through that situation or a situation like that. And this is what Lyndsey has did now to get over it. The second part of it is more of the personal development when I did my NLP. So I've got things that I do now, as in my gratitude, my workouts that I do, my miracle mornings. And now I'm developing a program on that, which will be the second part of my book, which is going to be called Breaking Free. That's why I don't know for this podcast now. But at the moment, I'm working on the personal development side of it. So the modules are love and happiness, health and wellness. We've got spiritual awakening, work and career, all these things that is for it now. So yeah, so that's what the book's about. Basically, it's got 5 stars on Amazon. It got to number 1 in 9 categories last month. I know. Amazon bestseller number 1. I was like, yes. And it's
amazing.
Like, I know. There was so many sections it was in. It was in child trauma, child abuse, there was loads of it, mindset stuff. It was just amazing. It was phenomenal. I was just like watching it again. I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, so if you look at the reviews on it, there's women that have said it's inspired them now in this moment. There was another lady that says she read it and she had to buy 2 copies, one for her daughters, because she wants them to know that what they're going through now, that they can grow through, and that Lyndsey's done it, that they can do it. So that's what my book's about. Yeah,
that's incredible. I mean, the power of story, the power of narrative to transform lives, and we get momentum from hearing other people's stories. Yeah, which I'm guessing is one of the reasons why you talk about surrounding yourself with people who add energy to you as opposed to draining it from you. I'm a person who loves writing. I see myself as a writer first of all, but I'm very interested in how the writing process, or just writing in general, factors into your coaching. Has writing a book changed the way you coach?
Yeah, because when I do my writing, I talk about adversity. I talk about things that I've been through. I talk from the heart, or who I'm coaching at the time, like a story. But obviously you can't tell their story. So I'll talk about the resilience, adversity, loving yourself, caring for yourself, surrounding yourself. That's what I talk about now. I mean, I don't know what you do, Michael, when you write now. Do you talk from the heart, or do you speak about things that you're going through, or is it more on a point of, is it non-fiction they call it? It's like storytelling. Yeah, right. I got you. So yeah, with me, mine's literally from a space of, I wanted my story to be told and authentic, how it actually happened with me, and how I grew through it, because it's real. It's real. It was happening to me at the time, situations I was going through with my, with my parents, then my partners, my children. So yeah, and it's helped me. When people read it, when I tell them my story, they're like, wow, you've gone through that. I'm sitting, I'm like, well, yeah, so you can. And again, it's just knowing if you can heal your inner child, you're onto a win. Because it's going deep into just cracking yourself open.
But I mean, that requires, what you're describing requires a substantial amount of vulnerability.
Yes.
And courage.
Yes.
And I would say that not everybody, we have to get to a place where we can do that. And you've obviously gotten to a place to do that. And that I would imagine that that's what really inspires people the most, is that you were courageous, you put yourself out there, you were vulnerable.
I think, well, I know, but see, I've done the work. Vulnerability, there's power in vulnerability, because once you start being vulnerable, it lets more people be vulnerable. It opens them up to speak if they want to. Yeah. But for me, I had to face myself. I had to literally look at myself, mirror myself, and say, Lyndsey, what is it you want? What is it within you? What's your purpose? Who do you want to be serving? And get it out. The best thing I ever did was write my story and get it out there, because when people read it, and I read the testimonials on the book and what people think and how it's impacted them and inspired them, that comes from a place of service for me. And I can literally, people look at me and go, wow, did you go through that? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you're so brave and strong to share that to the world. But, my mum read it a bit. She was like crying her eyes out. She said, Lynn, I said, Mum, the thing is, she said, what was your why? My why is to help and serve other people. I've got a why. If your why don't make you cry, you've got to be wanting it to, and that's exactly what I want and I'm doing, to inspire. If I can inspire the whole world, that's what I want to do. We have it. It's all inside us already. We just got to believe in ourselves. Empathy is everything. You've got to listen to people and have, again, that empathy, just to, instead of going off in your head and stuff like I probably would years ago when I was healing myself and carrying so much anger still inside of me. When you clear all that out, you give empathy out. You listen more and you see what state people are coming from, their mindset, where they're coming from, because you've done the work. Taking that step back, it's massive. It's massive.
Thank you, Lyndsey, for taking the time to talk with me. You can find Lyndsey at lyndseyaustinlifecoach.com. I want to thank all my guests for taking the time to talk with me. These conversations are among the favorite parts of my work, and I'm so grateful to the many guests who have said yes to my invitation to hold space with me about the journey inward we are all making or facilitating for others. I treasure these conversations. If you found the podcast beneficial or intriguing, or you choose the positive word, please click the follow or subscribe button so that you don't miss an episode. Thank you for listening.